So anyway, okay. So, well, so, all right. So Spencer asked me, he's like, hey, would you like tell a story or whatever? And I got to thinking about it. I know we all talk about the Bigfoot and other things, but during this past year, I've come to learn that there's some weird things that go on, and when we tell stories, there's people that smirk, and there's people that don't believe in certain things. But I got to thinking back over my life. We had a store on the interstate, and I've met a lot of people from all over the country. And you have those unique people in your life, and something happens that you just can't believe. So the story I'm going to tell tonight is short. But there's a guy that lives in our community. He got to be 4 years old. He quit learning. So he would repeat the same 25 to 30 phrases. And that was just him. His name's Emmett. And everybody loves Emmett. He loves him. He's still alive. And you kind of got used to those phrases or whatever. He didn't vary any from what he knew. And one day, we were me and a farmer in there. And Emmett's sitting there doing his usual thing. He was leaned back against the ice cream cooler drinking his coffee. It was a clear day. A few clouds in the sky, probably later in the year. It wasn't overly cold. And Emmett, it's like somebody hit him with a cattle prod, comes up off of the cooler, and he looks around. He couldn't talk really plain at all. I had to learn his language, actually, over the years. Stuff like Eddie Petty, he would do the dance, Eddie Petty. But it took me 25 years to figure out that was Elvis Presley, right? I had no idea, and then when I found it out, I was like, oh my God, I finally know. Like helicopter was a hippo hopper, but then a grasshopper was a dog. And it's a lot of stuff like this, right? And he would come in and he would talk to you. He would do anything in the world for you. Nice guy. So he comes up off of this cooler, and the farmer's standing there drinking his coffee, and we thought he got shocked or something happened, hurt him. We're all looking in his eyes, and keep in mind, it's mostly clear sky, nothing in the forecast for anything, and he panicking. I said, Emmett, what? Are you okay? He said, me daddy go home. It's gonna come a business. New phrase. Never had heard this from Emmett. I'm like, what? Me daddy go home now. I'm panicking, urgent. It's going to come a blizzard. And the farmer, his name's Travis, he looks at me like, what do we do? Because Emmett's been known to get in trouble, panic, like he got choked on a steak one time. He got up from the table and he ran. He ran out of air. They got him, saved him, whatever. So Emmett gets scared. He would run. So we were trying to calm him down. And he's probably in mid-40s at the time. And within 2 minutes, we had 2 rows of gas pumps. I couldn't see the gas pump. There was the finest snow blowing from west to east and piling up against our fence. And I'm looking at Travis. I'm like, what is happening? It scared me because I've never seen that before. So it stopped. And we're looking at each other like, what just happened? And Emmett's still wide-eyed. And I think he said it one more time, and it hit again, which is probably a downdraft and whatever. Later you learn how that stuff happens. I never had seen it. And after it finishes the second time, there's fine powdery snow over here against the fence. It's melting pretty quick. And thank God Travis was there, because we talked about it for years later. How he knew what was about to happen, because there's no way. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is I was thinking about, the weird stuff that's happened to all of us. We listened to stories last night, and I got to thinking there are a lot of stories like this, and if I hadn't had a witness there, I don't care who believes it, it just was amazing to witness. And I don't know where he got his information from, but he knew, whether he understood it or not, what he was saying. he told us what was going to happen before it happened. And I go back to that sometimes when people are telling me a story or I'm telling a story, and there's some amazing things that happen that never get told. So I figured tonight I would tell that amazing story, and as a tribute to him.
Thank you.
I don't understand it at all, but I'm glad to share it with you. And I've got one more, if it's okay, Spencer.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so some of y'all might have heard, I was on a show one time, and we were talking paranormal. And there's another guy that lives in the community. He's deaf. He's been deaf his whole life. He's a little older than me. And in school, he had sign language officials, but then he had his own, and we could communicate. And then later, he would mow my yard and stuff, and we would work together, getting that done, and we would have to write. Thank you. Hold it up here. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start singing. Right.
Go ahead. Happy peppy.
Y'all don't want that. So we would write down instructions or whatever back and forth, and we'd go through pads and stuff. Well, he told me one time, we were, and I was paying him for doing the job, and he asked me about. He said, "Do you know this street?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of know what that's at." He said, he was at a house, it was weed eating. He said it was an old house, and the door was open. And Michael, sometimes he didn't know boundaries. He would check out things, right? So, but he told me why he told me this. I don't know. I'm glad he did. But he was writing down that he went in. He went in the door, and it was dark. And he was looking around. He said, I couldn't see. And all of a sudden, now remember, he's been deaf his whole life. So when he's writing this down and he does a few things, I'm blown away. Michael said he was writing down haunted, and then I'm like, what? He started doing this with his hands, both hands, like talking, and it's like all around him. And I'm like, you heard?
Put it up to your mouth.
Heard somebody talking. And you wrote down voices. So he's hearing voices in his head, and he's scared. And of course, he ran. He ran out of the house. And I'm sitting there thinking, this guy has never heard a human voice in his life. But something was talking to him in different voices and scared him, and he left. That's another story that sticks with me. How does that happen? Somebody that doesn't know what something is, but yet and why he told me the story, I don't know. But like once again, I'm glad he did, because with all this strangeness that goes on and we're exposed to, and if I hear one of your stories, I believe it, because things happen all over the place and they're never told. And so for those two guys, Emmett couldn't tell y'all that story, and Michael couldn't tell y'all that story probably. So I thought I'd share that with y'all tonight. I know we're here for Bigfoot and other things, but for some reason, when I was trying to think of stories, those two popped up. So that's my two. Sorry you couldn't hear. So, but appreciate y'all listening. And who's next?
Thank you, Rob.
Sorry.